Change-Friendly Leadership, How to Transform Good Intentions into Great Performance. I live in the beautiful town of Liberty, Missouri, right outside of Kansas City, Missouri, in the heartland. It's a wonderful place to live and to write, and I'm happy to be with you today. Well, I've had several favorite disruptive heroes. I guess an early one would have been my ninth grade English teacher. Yeah, he was a former guard from Leavenworth Prison. And sometimes we thought that he forgot that he didn't any longer work at the prison. But most of us in the class were high school athletes, and we really couldn't care less about English. But he taught me to love the language, to love grammar of all things. And that appreciation for the language has served me well for the rest of my life. A little later on, one of my early editors, early in my career, I was a journalist. One of my early editors was Jim Lehrer. You know him primarily from his work on public television. Jim taught me to assess the gap between what people aspire to and what they actually accomplish. And that was very helpful as a reporter. I was an investigative reporter and a political reporter. So that was very helpful in that sense, and it's been helpful since. In fact, you notice the subtitle to my book is How to Transform Good Intentions into Great Performance. And achievement in life is always about closing that gap. And Jim was very helpful in giving me that perspective. I've worked with a lot of people over the years, clients, friends, associates, who've been helpful to me. Stephen R. Covey of 7 Habits fame was a colleague for more than 40 years. I knew him long before he was a famous author, back when he was an anonymous college professor. And he taught me a lot about self-actualization, if you will. If you're familiar with his 7 habits, one of them is begin with the end in mind. And that very simple principle has been a very important thing in my life. So all of these folks have been disruptive in the sense that they caused me to see things differently. My favorite disruptive change would be all of the technology that is emerging. And we all know things seem to change faster than ever before. You buy a new iPhone. In fact, somewhere here on the desk, I have my latest iPhone, and it'll be out of date in about 6 months. And frankly, I'm not concerned about that. I love technology. I love the use of technology. Now, while some platforms like Twitter may get a bad rap for dumbing people down and forcing them to express their thoughts in 140 characters, I frankly think that's pretty good. I tell some of my clients, if they really want to internalize and understand and operationalize their strategy, they should be able to express it in 30 seconds or less. In fact, sometimes I'll have them write a mission statement in 6 words, reflective of Ernest Hemingway's 6-word novel. And that's harder than you might think. So technology, I believe, forces us to think differently. I can't even imagine, even as disruptive in maybe a negative sense, email can be for our days. I can't imagine getting along without the internet. A disruptive change that I find challenging, not just for myself, but I think for society, is this idea that people have to fight against each other. When you hear a politician talk about what he or she wants to do, they frequently say, I'm going to fight for this, I'm going to fight for that. Well, we seem to have this propensity to attack and belittle and to even demonize. Whatever happened to the idea of engaging each other and collaborating for the common good? Everybody seems to want to have a one-up on the next person, and I think that is a disruption that is very troubling. In our society, we have a lot of folks, well-intended, I assume some of them are, who seem to want to force a point of view on other people. One of the things that made at least the United States the great country it is all of the diversity that has come here. But I think it's been, to use a harsh word, bastardized by some folks, and I think that disruption is a sad thing for our society. I would really like to get to the point where we can have civil discussion, disagreement, of course. If you have 10 people around a table and all 10 of them agree on every issue, you have the wrong 10 people around the table. We need to disagree, but we need to do it civilly so that we can work together for the common good.